Good morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 93. We're going to be recapping some of the NFL or NCAA updates that came in. NBA play-in games started this week. We'll talk about those and what to expect this weekend. NHL playoffs start this weekend as well, so we'll kind of talk about that as well with the finish of Mount Rushmores of teams through 2000 and 2009 in the NFL. It has to be the team plus the year. Cannot be a team throughout there. A year and a team. So let's get it started.
Yeah. I was going to do a vertical jump there. Thank you, Socks.
Travel been to Indiana, and did Cover 2 Cook get you a good hotel?
Indiana? No, I'm in Louisiana. I'm getting Mardi Gras.
And I know that this might be hard, but I don't know how much you remember Friday night since we left you damn near when you fell asleep.
I got my belly full, man. I was like, I warm covers and warm. I was like, I could go to sleep right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jack Dorsey.
Final answer?
Yes.
Eh.
All right.
This is going to be a long fucking day.
All right, let's start right off the bat with the NCAA football updates. Nico, not going to Tennessee anymore. Now he is reportedly going to UCLA. What do you think about this one?
I was kind of shocked on this one. I didn't really see this one coming as far as UCLA. You know, we did talk about maybe possibly the Big 12, somewhere like Oklahoma State, but I did not see this one with UCLA. I think that he's got a good coach there.
Yep.
But I definitely did not see this. I hope this works out because he did he quit on his team? No, but I think you're going to see a lot more players like this that are if they don't get what they want, they're going to go. They're going to leave.
Yeah, I think it's actually the opposite. So what I mean by this is I think this was the team saying, you're not going to hold us hostage. Go. Right. And you see now he's going to a less superior team than Tennessee, playing in a worse conference, which some would arguably say Big Ten is a better conference SEC. But if you're a college football fan, you know where the best conference is. And I think you see UCLA as a team that's hungry for a win, right? They've been wanting to win for a while now. And so they want to get this winning going. They'll pay this money. And that's what it was. They probably paid Nico the money that he wanted to come play quarterback there. It's just, now does he have a team that's going to take him to what he needs? I mean, is it worth the payout? Because when you talk about this ultimately, you're getting paid this year that money, right? But what about the money that you would have gotten in the draft? What were the money you would have gotten in the NFL? Because being at Tennessee, he wins that game. If he wins that game against Ohio State, which obviously Ohio State goes and wins the national championship, but if they win even one playoff game, you're talking about a huge draft stock because you're an SEC quarterback and you win games. Boom. It's just my problem with Nico was he looked great against bad teams, but when he played against good teams, he just wasn't that guy. So,
well, here's another deal too. If Nico beats Ohio State, now what's the going rate for him? He wins another game. What's now the going rate? He gets to the national championship. Now what's the going rate for him? It would only that number only goes up. It only goes up. If he as more games he wins, that number only goes up.
Yeah,
so
I think
that's the deal too. Is now who's going to pay for that? And maybe Tennessee does pay for that if he keeps winning too as well.
Yeah, I think his overall year kind of made why he wasn't going to get paid. Not just that Ohio State game, because if you remember that Ohio State game, he took a lot of shots. I mean, he took a lot of hits. He looked actually not that bad compared to what the rest of that team looked like. I think the other thing, too, is if you're going to play D1 college football and you're that guy, let's not make family as your agent. Agents make more sense when they're an actual agent because they have other players. So it's bargaining chips. But when it's a family member, the Tennessee doesn't care because they know that Nico's dad is not going to represent another player. So you can't hold him over a barrel because Nico's dad is not going to have another guy that they're going to have to come back and say, hey, remember when you helped us out? I'll help you out. Now it doesn't happen like that. Stop having family do it. Family never works out that way. I don't care if dad, mom, cousin, brother says that they're good at what they do. They're not that guy or girl. So other news in college football, Lee Corso is retiring after week 1. I think it's a great little showdown they'll give him for week 1. What do you think about this one?
Well, I'm not going to be a fan favorite on this one. I don't know why. Why are we doing? I think either you do a whole year, but one episode, and at the beginning of the year, I don't know. I kind of wish that he would have made the decision back then that last year would have been his last year. Now we're just going to do 1 week, and then and is somebody going to fill in a spot or what? I don't know. I'm just not for week 0. I'm not. Maybe they're going to do like a tribute deal for the whole week.
Yep.
That's great, but I don't know.
I think he deserves it. I think Lee Corso is day one. And if you remember, Lee Corso was the face of broadcasting at one point. Adam Sandler had him in one of his movies. Lee Corso is the statue of what you think of when you do the head picking and all these other things. He deserves a 1 day of saying, thank you, Lee Corso. Think about the people that have came through College Game Day, even up to now Pat McAfee on there. And Lee Corso has been the same guy from day one. I mean, I know you have these Kirk Herbstreits, and Kirk does other things. Lee Corso has always done College Game Day. He deserves it. I also think the past couple of years, him just doing something has been what he deserves for 1 week of getting it, because it looks like it was not the best of him. So him just coming for one episode and saying, hey, I'm done after this. It's going to be very emotional. I think if you're a true College Game Day fan, or if you watch College Game Day on a religious basis like I have, or even when I was traveling for football in college, College Game Day was always a part of the regime, right? It was always to watch that. Lee Corso leaving is a huge detriment to College Game Day. I bet they bring someone else on, obviously, but Lee Corso, I think I'm sad just thinking about him leaving.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one that started it all.
Yep.
Him and I don't know if it was Fowler. I think it was him and Fowler is the one that started this whole deal too. Which I did see in a report, I think yesterday, that Fox has reached out to Reese Davis. Now, I don't know if there's any truth in that about trying to get him to the other pregame deal, but that would be, I think, a huge blow for ESPN, because I think he's great with them guys, with McAfee and all of them.
Yeah, Desmond Howard and Kirk.
Yeah.
I don't see him doing it, because College Game Day is is the pinnacle. There's nothing even close to it. Even Fox, their Game Day or whatever, they're trying to replicate what College Game Day has done, and who do you get to say that why they got to where they got? Lee Corso. So that's why he deserves a game. If you don't believe that, you a heartless bastard, and shut the hell up.
Well, also another thing too is, Anthony, I think why they're doing it for the first week, usually there isn't a really standalone game for that first week. Once you start getting into the conferences and everything else, then you're going to take away, if you decide to do it in October when it's Florida and Tennessee, now you're going to take a little bit away of the game and more about Corso.
I don't care if it's Auburn, Alabama. Lee Corso deserves that day.
Oh, and don't get me wrong. I think that I agree with that, but I think ESPN decided with week 0, you don't really get a big matchup that week. It's usually like last year, a couple years ago, it was Navy and Notre Dame. Yeah. That way they can do something and not take away of the key to the game.
Yeah, I think it's week 1 though.
Big game.
It's week 1 though. It's not week 0. It's week 1.
Oh,
so week 0, because College Game Day last year, I don't even think they went to week 0.
I think they went over to Ireland.
They did. Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
but week 0, it's week 1 that he's done. So they'll give him that first week of everyone playing, and I think that's where. Wow. So we are moving into NBA play-in games. Tuesday night, we had Orlando beat Atlanta. Yep. Golden State beat Memphis. Miami beat Chicago, and Dallas beat Sacramento. Give you 30 seconds to talk about those games. What'd you think?
The game that sounded out the most, the Bulls. I watched that last night till halftime. They were getting their ass stomped.
Yep.
For a team that was playing good ball, beat the Lakers, beat some of them good teams. They had a good record in March and April. And just to get handed your ass to you at home in the first half. Yep. Now, they made it a game at the end, but that's about it. I was shocked on that one. Yeah,
for my 30 seconds, who cares? Honestly, and here's why I'm saying that. Not because of basketball, but because Atlanta loses and they're not done. Yeah. And then Memphis loses and they're not done. So literally it was a waste to watch Tuesday night. And then you come to Wednesday night and you're like, okay, so who are they going to have to play? Who cares? Just give us those games. There's 20 teams that get into the playoffs. again, a guy that doesn't really care about the NBA. I don't even know how many teams are in the NBA, but if 20 make it to the playoffs, did you really make it to the playoffs?
Yeah.
Did you really? I mean, that was like, I actually did watch a little bit of the Bulls game. I will say the Bulls game, you said Kobe White or whatever his name is.
Yeah. Yep.
Huge hair. Love that. Tyler Hero out there playing great. I watched a little bit of that. I watched a little bit of Dallas because I talk shit against Nico. You know, their defense ain't too bad. I don't know, but it all didn't matter because now you come into Friday night, we have Heat versus Hawks and Mavericks versus Grizzlies. Saturday, you have the Bucks versus the Pacers, Clippers versus Nets, Pistons. The Pistons are back against the Knicks, Timberwolves versus the Lakers. It'll be a big weekend of games. Sunday, there's games as well, too, because there's two TBD as some of these teams still have to play. But big weekend coming into it. Any series that kind of you got to watch for this one?
God, I think like the Knicks and
Pistons.
Pistons.
Yep.
That could be an interesting. You know, Pistons are a young team, and really this year, the Knicks have not played up to their standard.
Yep.
They should have been a lot better, and they got a 3 seed. I think they should have played a lot better. I think they're going to handle the Pistons. I think there's going to be more ejections from the Pistons than wins in this series.
Hell yeah. And you know what? Bring the brawl back.
Yeah.
I will say for my series, I think the Bucks versus Pacers. I think that's going to be a good one. Just because you got Damian Lillard coming back after that deep thrombosis, vein, whatever thing. At the same time with the Pacers, you'll see what he kind of does. Otherwise, who do you got winning the NBA Finals this year? Not who's in it. Who wins it all?
Who wins it all? I've got, drum roll please, LeBron gets his next championship. It's going to be the Lakers. That's my team. I'm standing behind them. They've got Luka Doncic now. They're going all the way, baby.
No way. Nope. I don't see it happening. LeBron, honestly, it would not surprise me because it would just be exactly what the NBA want. But I think it's the Celtics.
Big time.
I think it's the Celtics this year. I just think that team is off the bench and things like that. Also, that's what I saw online because I don't give a shit and I won't watch it. But that's what I'm picking, the Celtics to win it. Also, when there's a documentary kind of coming out the year that you're doing something, maybe it works out your way, huh? So, but that's the NBA. We have that starting up, but don't worry. In case you want to watch a real sport, you can watch NHL because that starts this weekend as well because they don't give out second rounds even though you lose. In the first round, we have Winnipeg Jets versus the Blues, the Stars versus the Avalanche, Knights versus the Wild, Kings versus Oilers, Capitals versus Canadiens, the Hurricanes versus Devils, Maple Leafs versus Senators, and Lightning versus Panthers. Now, this goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday into Monday on this one. Any series that kind of points out for this one for you?
As you can tell, I'm really into that. I think, you know what? The Winnipeg Blues. Blues are coming in hot. I mean, they've won 12 of the last 13, and Winnipeg is the President's Trophy winner. No, there hasn't been a President's Trophy winner in a while. Yeah. I think that's an interesting series. I think I can see the Blues upsetting the Jets in the first round.
Yeah, I think my series that I'm going to definitely make sure to watch is Lightning versus Panthers. Florida teams going at it. I think the Panthers rebuild. Are they reloaded, not rebuilt? Going out and get some people. Lightning, obviously, they always just find a way to make themselves relevant when it comes to playoff time. I'm just rooting for a U.S. team to win it because this is a U.S. damn hockey is our sport. I don't care what anyone says. Who do you got winning this for the NHL this year?
As I said before, the Blues could beat the Jets. I think if the Jets get past this, they win it all. I'm rooting for the Winnipeg Jets.
So
just for the name.
Okay, so you're rooting against them in the first round, but you're going to let them win it all.
I think it could be close, and I think the Blues could. I could see an upset. I could see it. I don't think it will. I think the Jets got too much firepower, and I can see them winning it all.
Yeah, I can see someone watching this right now and being like, okay, I'm going to put their bet down. And like, so you think they're going to fucking lose the first round and they're going to win it all? No, we don't.
I didn't get past them.
Yeah, we don't talk about the NBA here. I think I think for me, I think Panthers. I just the way they went out and got people at the end of it. I think they've been playing good hockey. What you find out too, and I'm not a hockey person, but I watch a lot more hockey so that I can become that guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Is when I watch hockey, it always comes down to power plays, right?
Yeah.
The team that has the best power play offense going into this playoff time and can keep it going, that's the team that you're just like, every time they get a power play, it's dynamite. I think Panthers always find a way to be that team. They're more physical as well. I just am loving playoff hockey because you could just tell, even these last couple games, we have some games tonight. We had last night, I was watching the Dallas Stars. They're taking it easy, right? Time for playoffs. You could just see it on these guys' faces. It's ready to get there. Truly excited to get into that.
I think also, too, Anthony, goaltending is a key.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. You can defend that power play all you like. If they don't have any goaltending, they can't stop the puck going in the net. And Florida does have, and he's the one that, he was standing on his head last year for the championship. So yeah. I can't think of his name. Boblotsky. I don't know what the hell his name is.
Yeah, that's something with a ski at the end, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, don't go that way. But yes.
Yeah, come on.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I think for hockey, if you're wanting to get into it, watching this makes it so much better for the year to come up. I think a lot more people, I think you're going to see a lot more viewership for the hockey because we just come off that, the whatever it was called between Canada and US.
Yeah,
I think
kind of like a World Cup. Yeah.
Yep. I think we're going to see a lot more people. I also think it's that time of the year too, where either you're in that NBA group and you're going to watch the NBA, or you're waiting for your sport to start, like football or whatever. And that's where it is. And if you're watching baseball, good for you. So we are moving on to football. Mount Rushmore, 2000 through 2009. So let's give a little rules here. So the rules are from 2000, so the year of 2000, to the year of 2009, you can select one team you can select a team during those years, okay? Once the team name has been said, it cannot be said again. So again, if I say a team, you cannot bring it up. Best team overall wins. I get to start first because you started first for the wide receivers. My first team is not a Super Bowl team. 2000 Super Bowl winner. Super Bowl 2007 Patriots is my first team off the board. Almost 18-0. Brady throws 50 touchdowns that year. Randy Moss has it and took a magical play to take down this team. The one thing when they learned that year too was it wasn't the Bill Belichick defense that it usually was, and it caught him at the end. I still think that is one of the best teams of all time because when you think of perfect, that should have been a team that went perfect there.
Well, and no other team since then has even come close to it. Not even close. I mean, they like I said, the Patriots were one game away from, Miami would never be able to open up champagne bottles ever again. Like they do every year. So, I mean, that was – and you know what? And that's the deal, too, is that they got beat by a Giants team that got smoked by them. And that snuck in. And in the regular season, they played like week 13 or 14, and they smoked them. I mean, they got killed on it. So,
who do you got for your number one team?
The 2000 Ravens.
Damn it.
One of the greatest defenses of all time, I think. Gave up a total of 10.3 points a game and only 970 yards rushing in the regular season. Recorded a league 49 sacks. You had Ray Lewis. You had Terrell Suggs. You had them all. And you know what? They won that Super Bowl that year with, I had the quarterback at the tip of my tongue. He was all they had to do was just be an average quarterback to win that team. Trent Dilfer was the quarterback that year. And all you had to do, don't turn the ball over. And that team was done. They played the Giants in that Super Bowl and just killed them.
Yeah.
Like 34-6.
34-7, yeah. And I agree. That defense, gave teams nightmares. I mean, that was the original Hard Knocks too. So you saw that all as well. Yes, I think that 2000 Ravens team was scary. Now, for my number two team, I'm going to another good defense here. The 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. John Lynch, Derek Brooks, not Rondé Barber, Warren Sapp are on this team, okay?
Yep.
This defense, cover 2, it was the Tampa 2 defense. John Gruden was a coach for that. That team was, the way they could just stop teams on the dime, I think it had a little resemblance of that 2000 Ravens, maybe not as glorified, but that back in that day, that was also a different game when John Lynch could take someone's head off down the middle. Yeah. That team was scary. I take the 2002 Tampa Bay, which I do believe they won the Super Bowl that year.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the year that they got Gruden on a trade from the Raiders that year. And he comes back and just kills his previous team. It was good.
All right, who do you got for your number 2 team?
We're going to stick with the defense. We're going with the 2006 Bears.
Oh.
Credible defense, Urlacher, Briggs, Peanut Tillman. On offense, they had Sexy Rexy Grossman. He was another one, just, hey, don't screw it up. We got a defense that can do it. They didn't win that Super Bowl that year. They got beat by Indianapolis, but they had the Hall of Famer kicking off on kickoffs. They had Devin Hester, the Hall of Famer, Devin Hester. This was a good team. They had a great defense. They didn't give up a lot of points, and they just, Sexy Rexy was just, managed the game. Kind of like Trent Dilfer. They didn't win that year, but that was still a pretty good team.
Yeah, you had Charles Tillman as well. So Peanut Tillman, that would knock it out. Yeah, that was definitely a good defense. I actually have for my 3rd team, I was going to say the 2006 Colts, the team that beats them. But I'm going with the team that did not win a Super Bowl, and it has a little place in my heart because it broke my heart. The 2009 Minnesota Vikings, 12-4 on the season, looked like nobody was going to stop them. They lose to the Saints in the NFC Championship when Brett Favre throws across the field, because you never do that. Throws across it. Vikings would have won the Super Bowl that year. Obviously, it becomes a memorable year because it was the year after Katrina, and the Saints win it, and everyone's like, oh my God, yes, this was amazing. The Vikings should have won it that year. Everyone was working. Adrian Peterson, Sidney Rice, everything was perfect. Ended up not winning it, but that team should have won it. Jared Allen was on defense. They had It just was such a good team, and they unfortunately didn't win it that year. But when you talk about teams that you're going to remember that years, I think you got to talk about the 2009 Vikings. Who do you got for your 3rd team?
I'm going to go with another team that did not win it, but beat the Patriots, the 2007 Giants.
Okay.
Tom Coughlin was on the hot seat. They squeezed into the playoffs, went on a run. They beat the Bucks, Cowboys, Packers before making the Super Bowl and playing the Patriots. And they beat them not only once, but twice 4 years later.
Yep.
So that's my 3rd team.
It's tough because when you think of the Giants, they're the only ones that took them down, right?
Yeah.
They're the only one that could take them down, but at the same time, were they the best team? They just had a best game. You know what I mean? But I see your decision. For my last pick, I am going to go with that. The 2006 Colts. I was kind of dangling out there to see if you would. Most wins in 2000s were the Colts from 2000 to 2010. They had the most wins. You had Peyton Manning, Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. They beat the Bears in the Super Bowl that year. Obviously, that Super Bowl we just talked about, the 2006 Bears, they return a kick to start it. Best start of a Super Bowl of all time. Never will be touched because now we don't kick the ball off anymore. I take the 2006 Colts and this for my 4th pick. Who do you got for your 4th pick?
I'm going to go with the 2009 Saints. Their offense gained the most yards in that season. That season was Hurricane Katrina. Everybody was, they came back from that. It was such a great comeback, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. I think that team with Breeze and all of them, they were good. I mean, they were really good that year.
So you honestly could say that you think the Saints they were the better team that day against the Vikings, but were they the better team all year than the Vikings that year? You're saying that?
Yeah.
Shut up. You don't fucking know shit then. Don't shut up. That is crazy. I'm saying, not as a Vikings fan, that is crazy.
Right.
Brett Favre in that year was so much better. But you know what? Hey, you take your 4, Mount Rushmore, and see how people agree with that one.
Yeah, okay.
Let's name some honorable mentions. My first honorable mention right here is going to be, now you notice None of us took any of the Patriots outside the year they didn't win it, which is weird because they won so many Super Bowls out of those 10 years. Nobody took a Pittsburgh Steelers team, which was weird because they were pretty solid during that time too. But my team that I'm going to say, I'm going to take it before you say it, was the 2005 Denver Broncos. I think Jake Plummer, Rod Smith, Champ Bailey, John Lynch again playing on there. Gave Tom Brady his first playoff loss, and then they got crushed by the Steelers. But they had that team that they looked good. I mean, their defense was good. Their offense, it just seemed like everything was going the right way. Jake Plummer had a career year because he could never do that again. But that team was pretty solid. I feel like they're an honorable mention.
Yeah, I agree. They had Anderson as the running back. Yep. I mean, that was after Terrell Davis. So, I mean, he was a hell of a running back for him. So, yeah.
You got any other honorable mentions?
Honorable mention, Philadelphia Eagles, the most consistent team in the 2000s. They won 103 games.
Is there a year that for the Eagles, though?
Not really. I mean, in that decade, they went to 5 NFC championships. Not any other team. Andy Reid just seemed like he was the coach that couldn't get over the hump with that Philadelphia teams. And, they went to 5 NFC championships in that decade. That's a pretty consistent. That team was the most consistent team not to win.
Yeah, well, and you got to think why I asked this because on my honorable mentions, the 2004 Eagles, you had T.O., Donovan McNabb, Brian Dawkins, Brian Westbrook, but they lose to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And that was just one of those ones where I think T.O. comes off the broken leg to play in that Super Bowl or whatever. But they got blown out in that Super Bowl. Is there any other teams? I know we talk about I think you got the Giants of the 2000s. If you go right before this, I think you bring up the Rams because everyone wants to say the best team on turf or whatever.
Yeah, greatest show on turf.
And then you got
Colts.
you talked about the Colts. The Titans. I think the Titans of 99, they're right on the edge of that 2000 when they lose by a yard. There's other teams like that, but unfortunately, for honorable mentions, I was not going to say the Chicago Bears. I have it on my list, but I was like, that would be my last pick.
Well, yeah, of course. As a Vikings fan, yeah, sure.
That year was so frustrating because they would just find ways to win games because of their defense.
Yeah.
They would just hold. But I think your best pick, that 2000 Ravens, that team was scary good.
Yes, most definitely.
But it looks like it's a quick episode for us today. We had talked about the NCAA football updates, the NBA play-ins, NHL playoffs, and Mount Rushmore. Give us a like, comment, say who had the best Rushmore from these teams that we picked. Also, like us, share, comment, whatever on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We do appreciate everyone. We will be back on Tuesday. We'll kind of recap a little bit of what caught our eye from the NBA and the NHL. You'll hear more from the NBA from him. NHL will be myself. We'll get back into talking a little bit more. We also have trivia on Tuesday, as we'll have a draft edition with Lisa coming in. Next Thursday, we will not have a video. Or next Friday, we will not have a video because Lisa and I will be attending the NFL draft. So we will give you one on the following Monday. But keep updated with us. Like, share, talk about it. But we want to thank everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll be back on Tuesday.